everyone, good morning and good evening. This is Shay. Even though I record this in front of a camera, not in person, unfortunately, but I hope these videos that can be viewed by you and find you are safe and sound at home. I'm currently in Beijing and trying to come up with a way to share with you guys another side of information for your reference. As I know, Medium currently is the only channel for most of you to get information about the virus development and actions taken by your country and other countries, and also the impacts on business, which is pretty obvious these days. And another reason I want to do this video is because I've been receiving a lot of inquiries and messages from since the initial outbreak in China. But I received most of the messages through foreign social media like Facebook. So because of the firewall issues here, I do not have immediate access to foreign sites all the time. So very often when I check those messages, it will be already days or weeks after. So I feel sorry for the delay in my response, but I do feel very grateful for being cared and sought by my friends. And I try to do my best, to my best ability, to share with you information I know from here, so that you can have more source of information that you can assess and evaluate how to modify your own decision or your own actions in terms of dealing with virus and also many other things that's reported in the news. Because to be honest, when I read news from both sides, in both language, in Chinese and English, yes, I can see the increase, I can feel the increased tension just by the way it's reported, or the tone certain media use, or certain headline an editor picked on an opinion article. And you can feel the article was generated with an attitude. It was meant to be developed to convey a message that is much stronger than the content of the article itself. My own experience is more persuasive. I also try to be very neutral on things, just to evaluate the thing itself without take into personal feelings before I truly understand the picture as complete as possible. To me, we started to broadly heard about the virus towards the end of January. And even though my mom knows about the virus a little bit earlier, on social media, on Chinese social media, of course. And because I was working, I was very busy working in January, so I didn't really follow too much what's sharing and discussing on social media then back then. And also because it was around the time of Chinese New Year, so like my work immediately scaled up. I don't really have much spare time to read those articles on news. By the time I know it, it's already the day before I have to board the plane back home to celebrate the Spring Festival with my family. Background about Spring Festival. Spring Festival is literally the largest holiday for Chinese. Like how I would compare it to Christmas to you. So imagine we had this virus news broadcasting in TV, in radio, when we were about to celebrate our New Year. So when I boarded the plane, I knew the situation was starting to get worse. I couldn't get any mask at all in any store, and I tried to ask my dad to buy some masks the day before. He was also he sounds pretty chill and didn't really buy in what I say. So, but I guess even he tried to look for some masks. There, there were there were not any mask available in the market, as it was pretty much gone in the production. The mass production was not as intensive as it is right now. So they are pretty much just selling the stores. They are selling the mask in their inventory. And because of New Year, most people have already left work, or some stores even closed up. Just a few around that period. Gladly, I have some masks with me because my face is a little bit sensitive, and so when I'm living in Beijing, I often have this face allergy that I have to wear mask for spring and autumn. So I always have some mask ready at home, even though not the most qualified one to block virus. Better than nothing, right? And as I wear the mask and drag my suitcase to the airport is super empty. Because at that time, all the citizens are already aware of the seriousness of the virus. So very rare people want to travel around and get them exposed to greater chance of being infected. I also have the thought about canceling the ticket and just to stay in Beijing. But you know, it's like the beginning for every country. Nobody really know how bad it is until you really see dead body in the TV, and you see the death toll is rising every day, and until you have infection case in your neighborhood, and you were told you are not allowed to leave your apartment unless you have stayed for 14 days. And that became a common case for majority of Chinese in February and March. So when I landed the plane back to Chengdu, my home is Chengdu. My home city is Chengdu. I hope that I can introduce you guys about my home city in a better occasion, not in this situation. But anyway, so when I landed the airplane, all these flight attendants, they are also wearing masks. I take a picture so you can see. So you don't. It's kind of scary. Like everyone around you wearing masks. You don't know what you did may get yourself infected. All you were told is just stay clean, don't touch your face, don't touch your mouth. But you still got to eat, and you still gotta move things around, touch your own skin, etc. So, but for me on the plane, I didn't feel comfortable to eat anything, drink anything, or go to use the bathroom. So I just sat in till I arrive. And when I arrived, my kind of quarantine started. Yeah, so the vacation was like 6-7 days vacation, and because all the stores are closed and the streets are empty, and you also have this news telling you not to go out every day. Every program is repeating the same thing. You don't feel like to go out at all. So I flew back and stayed home completely for 6-7 days, and then returned to Beijing. My apartment has a shared kitchen, so my apartment decided to close. Okay, so when I returned to Beijing, I was lucky enough to not to be forced for a quarantine. Like what they do days after, You know, so Beijing is like the Washington to the U.S. So it's really struck people's nerve if the infection case was massively increasing in Beijing, and also with all these people returning from their holiday back to their work in Beijing, it's bringing more risk to spread the virus around. And also back then there was everything we know about the virus was still at the very early stage. We don't know what's its infection pattern, and we also know that the infection can the virus may not always come with symptoms when they infect the people, and they also have a rather lasting effect. Like they can be found on dead body. They can also be found in the air. So it's scary. Like we were dealing still with invisible enemy, and we were still trying to study it. You simply feel scared. And I know it was also a tough decision for any government to make, like in terms of how tough measures that they should take when it comes to dealing with a virus. Like you don't know if it's as easy go as a flu, or it could be as bad as a deadly virus, like kill people easily. So it took some time for the Chinese government to issue the city lockdown policies, and also close up all those gathering places. We don't have such rules as other country, like allowing the openings for some places that they can only accommodate let's say 10 people or 5 people. So when the Chinese government decide to close, they just close up everything except for the essentials like pharmacies, groceries, and when you go to buy those stuff, like you visit those stores, in some community, in some building, you have to receive this an entry ticket in order to go out and do your grocery. So that way is to reduce the numbers of time for you to go out, and also enable scientists to do their job and study the virus as fast as they can. Because like you have to minimize all these variables in order to understand the pattern. So back to when I returned to Beijing. When I returned to Beijing that day, I arrived in the midnight, and the next day I have a team conference call in the morning. I still don't have my work laptop. I have to travel to the office in the morning and come back to my apartment and do the team conference, do the team call. In that situation, I wasn't really so brave to. I wasn't there to go to use public transportation, and I decided to ride a bike to my office. So that was quite an exercise. I hardly want to do it again. But anyway, so when I arrived the building, they have people there in this full suit of protection suit, and they tested my temperature, and also gave me this like a card, like a permission card to enter the building. I enter the building, take my laptop, super nervous, and have my mask on all the time, and come back and jump on a bike and back to my apartment and do the team call. Speak of bike, so it's a sharing bike. Like you have, if you come to China and on the street, you will see there's lines of bikes. Like they have orange, they have green, they have yellow. Different color represent different company. So for on each bike, they have this QR code. The QR code enable you to scan with the company's app. When you don't want to use it, you just need to backlog the bike. It will just automatically calculate the price on your app based on your riding time. So which is very convenient for me when I live in Beijing myself and don't have a car. I also have to move around when public transportation is not within my option during this period. So that's one, and also comes to the takeout option. One question my friend asked me is how do I get food Yes, most of the restaurants were closed. And because my kitchen is in public area, my apartment closed my kitchen as well. So I literally have to rely my life on ordering takeout every day for February and March. I think my kitchen will be gradually resumed in this month, hopefully. But I've been eating takeout for 2 whole months. Um, it's depressing that I cannot cook. Like cooking is one way for me to release stress and enjoy the moments of creation. Um, but I also feel like that I have the advantages of using an ordering takeout through takeout app. It's so well developed in China now. Like the biggest takeout food delivery company is Meituan. Um, it has the largest delivery network. Even though during the COVID-19, even though during COVID-19, the delivery network definitely was affected, as not everyone was able to get back to their work on time. And some people, if you were in Wuhan, you were not allowed to leave the city until a certain time. So, and the delivery capacity was definitely affected. But luckily, there was still this option for residents like us who have to count on ordering takeouts. And when I order takeouts, they have the restaurants are also trying to do their best to assure their customers they are doing their best to keep their food clean, and also take care the entire food preparation process. So they will have a little healthy card on which they will put down the body temperatures of the rider, the rider who deliver your food, the chef who cook your food, and probably sometimes also a package person who packed the food for you. So just let you know that the people who contact your food, their body temperature has been tested, and they are healthy as far as their body temperature suggests. But usually when I get the takeout food, I will follow the instruction, as many of you probably have read on the internet. Like, just for example, like always to wash your hands before you eat anything, and you have some medical antibacterial alcohol spray. I will spray the package before I open it. So food is relatively easy to deal with in China, and they also work. I have a work that enable me to perform most works, most tasks from home. So compared to other type of works, like servers and some of my friends are servers and also actors, they were having a big troubles when the entire industry was affected by the virus. So I do feel very grateful about the fact that I have a job that I can perform from home, even though it's heavily rely on a good internet, as I have to check a lot of information and timely advices to my clients. So it was in the beginning there was a lot of energy draining struggles with my home internet. So I was getting a little bit nuts about my internet, but it's already been 2 months. I have already get used to its bad quality and have already found a way to live with it. And I don't know how long this life can last. Hopefully it will end soon. But right now the most thing I want to see is to see the number goes down in other cities that do not have such system and such healthcare resources to support their people. Because nowadays the virus is not a single country's issue anymore. It's a global crisis. Everyone is literally putting on the same line. Like, for example, I was feeling very depressed when back in February, towards the end of February, and we already finally in China, we see the number is going down, and we feel like, okay, our time of staying home, being bored, and dealing with this bad internet was about to over, and then the bushel kicked off, and now we got stuck here again, um, and. And because there were some Chinese traveling back from infected countries, so they sort of bringing in more cases to China, and also create more challenges in terms of the government's prevention measures. Like on one side, the government trying to gradually resume operation, people's daily operation. Like you cannot keep the entire city on lockdown all the time. Nobody can afford it. But on the other hand, you don't want to have another round of infection peak. So there's pros and cons about all kinds of decision. Just to have to balance. To study first, analyze well, and balance before you make a decision. Right. So about life in Beijing. I want to say life is getting back to normal. No, there's no way that the current life is normal. Like for me, I'm still working from home. I still don't have access to my kitchen, and I still have to wear a mask whenever I go outside. Wash my hands before I touch my face before eating anything. And about other things, like a lot of restaurants will not be able to survive through this challenge. They close. So you have fewer options in food. And there's other the other business are infected by the lockdowns, by the economic collapse as well. So there will be eventually be reflected pressures to customers. So I don't know yet how to deal with those things, and the longer the COVID lasts, the more profound impact it will leave on us, on the society, on the economy. And I don't know. It also feels sad to see how people get divided because of the virus. I understand where does my friend's argument come from sometimes. But I don't have any conclusion. I believe anything that you said as the thing already occurred is too late. We shouldn't always look at in the past. We should look into the future. What happened is what happened. We learn a lesson from it, and we hope for the best. We also prepare for what's yet to come in order to minimize losses. That's the best we can do. Yet, I'm saying, like not just my friends, but like all this news medias, in both language, in Chinese and English, there's this unfriendly comment on specific groups, and it's sad to say this because right now it's a global crisis. Everyone's supposed to be united and come up with a real effective solutions to save their people, to save themselves, instead of pointing finger at each other and put dirty water on one another. I know it sometimes it comes from there's a political goal in there, but as an individual, I believe everyone has the right to live a happy life, or live a healthy life. When we look at the dust tour, first in China, then in Europe, in US, in Japan, in Korea, see, there are real people behind those numbers, and every number represents a family. Imagine how many families were hurt by the virus, and the people who survived so far are not learning the lesson. They're not appreciating for what they have, and trying to take down someone they don't like. It's sad. Personally, I hope the life can get back to normal as soon as quickly as possible. And all my friends, especially in the US, in the New York City right now, you guys have to stay safe, protect yourself. If you have not taken it seriously enough, you should start doing it right now. And during this period, you can take the time to think about things that you really you haven't thought about, or spend the time to write something. Maybe you will find yourself as an undiscovered writer, talented writer. Who knows? But anyway, I'm just trying to take this platform and get everyone on the same page. I don't want any gaps between us. I don't want any gaps in information just because of the language barrier. Only until we share the same thoughts, we read the same information, while we study and understand ourselves as individuals, can we live a happy and harmonious life together. Okay. Like, if you have specific questions about certain thing you read about China, about Beijing, about Chinese, you can always come to me. Or you want to know what certain areas, how does it operate? How does it operate these days in Beijing? You can comment and let me know. I will shoot another video to respond. Okay. Thank you all. Love y'all. Bye bye. Stay safe.